I said it like a joke, because cowards use jokes to deliver knives. We were at my friend Priya's brownstone for a little rooftop thing. String lights, mezcal and jam jars, everyone talking over the city hum. Someone asked how we'd met, and I did the usual cute version. A very boring co-working space, 2 sad salads, 1 broken printer. People laughed. Then Priya's fiancé asked if we ever thought about what-ifs, and I, tipsy, annoyed that Evan had declined a second drink, because he'd offered to drive my mom to an early bloodwork appointment, rolled my eyes and said, I settled. It got the cheap gasp you get when you drop a plate at a restaurant. Evan didn't make a scene. He didn't say, "Excuse me?" He just blinked, nodded like he'd been handed a bill he expected to pay anyway, and set his glass down on the ledge. He found my elbow and whispered, "I'm heading out. I'll text when I'm home." He handed Priya a bag of ice like he was clocking out of a shift no one noticed he'd started, then left. The party tried to rewind. I did the frantic hostess thing of pretending nobody heard what I said, but the sentence sat in my mouth like a coin I couldn't swallow. It tasted like metal all the way home. We'd been married 4 years. I'm 34. He's 36. If you met us at brunch, you'd slot us into a template. Me. Marketing loud good in a room him. Operations, calm, the guy who brings folding chairs to the picnic and actually returns them. I used to say his superpower was making things not fall apart, which sounds like a compliment until you realize it's also how people describe duct tape. What I meant that night, what I told myself I meant, was that I'd traded the fantasy, museums on Tuesdays, a novelist who quotes Sontag in bed, for something sturdier, a man who picks up your mom when her car won't start, who knows the good plumber who answers emails. But that's not what I said. I said I settled, which is contempt in a little black dress. When I got home, our apartment felt staged. Evan's keys were on the little tray by the door, his watch coiled like a sleeping animal. A yellow legal pad sat on the kitchen island under a pen. He'd written 3 lines. I heard you. I've been hearing you. I won't live in a marriage where I'm your consolation prize. No dramatic flerist. No, how could you? Just a boundary written straight. I texted a paragraph that included, "I was kidding, you know I love you," and 5 different crying emojis. He wrote back, "Can we talk tomorrow after I take your mom? I don't want her to worry." I wanted to scream because he was still being decent in the middle of my indecency. The next morning he made my mother tea, sat with her in the phlebotomy waiting room, and asked about her neighbor's cat. He didn't tell her anything. He brought her home, refilled her pill sorter, and only then came back to face me. We sat at the table like co-workers who didn't like each other anymore. "Do you think you settled?" he asked. "I think I said a mean thing to make people laugh," I said. "I think I was mad you wouldn't drink with me." He looked at me for a long time. "I've been keeping a list," he said finally. "Not of your sins. Of the things I keep pretending are fine." He pulled out his phone and scrolled. I recognized the Notes app. The list wasn't cruel. It was plain. When you call my job safe, like it's a synonym for smalt. When your sister jokes I'm not alpha, and you don't say anything. When I drive your dad to physical therapy at 7 a.m., while you sleep off a work dinner, and you call me a saint, instead of saying thank you. When you say we'll talk about kids next year, and next year keeps moving. When your ex texts you a book recommendation at midnight and you reply thanks, you always get me, and tell me I'm being insecure for noticing. When you apologize for me to your friends because I don't want shots. When you tell me I'm the glue, like it's a compliment and not an admission that you like breaking things. He put the phone face down. "I did settle," he said. "I settled for being an appliance in my own marriage. I love you, but I'm not going to be the thing that keeps your life running while you workshop whether you could have done better." I said the clumsy things. "Therapy, we can fix it, I didn't mean it." He said the mature things. "I've been in therapy. I asked you to come twice. You canceled the morning of both appointments." He wasn't angry. He sounded like someone reading an exit checklist. He spent a week at his brother's, then came back with a timeline. Find a couples counselor, do 3 sessions, decide. I said yes. He booked it. I showed up late to the first one and cried through the entire second like that would count as effort. In the third, The therapist asked us to list 5 things we appreciated about each other. I said, "You're reliable, you're kind, you're good with my family, you make the best roast chicken, you're steady." He said, "I appreciate that you can light up a room." Then looked at his hands for a long time and added, "I need to be with someone who wants to light up mine." He asked for a separation the next day. My friends said the things friends say. He's sensitive. He's overreacting. Everyone says dumb stuff at parties. I wanted to believe them. Then I found the email in our shared inbox from 2 months earlier. A recruiter, subject line head of ops. Series B FinTech. LA, salary that made my stomach lurch. Evan had replied, "Thanks for reaching out. I'm not looking to move cities while my mother-in-law needs help and my wife's team is in Manhattan." He'd turned down a step up because our life was here. He hadn't told me because he didn't want to make me feel guilty. Reading it felt like a trap I set for myself. We divided what you divide when you have no kids and a rent-stabilized apartment, and 4 years of overlapping life. Furniture, the wedding china we never used, the Le Creuset pot that weighs 1,000 pounds and holds every soup memory we have. He gave me the couch because I picked it, kept the bed because he paid for the mattress, and left me the plants even though he's the one who remembers to water anything. We each agreed to keep our own retirement accounts. No gotcha clauses, no revenge. He Venmo'd me for the security deposit I'd fronted back when we moved in. It was as if he wanted to make absolutely sure that money would not be the part that hurt. 2 months into the separation, I ran into him the way New York makes you run into people. At a bodega where we both reached for the same brand of seltzer like a staged scene. He looked good in the way of someone sleeping enough. He asked about my mom. I asked about work. He said he'd taken a role in LA. Head of ops, he said. Different sector, same skill. He smiled. Bigger mess to keep from falling apart. Wow, I said. When? Next month, he said. I'm signing the lease this week. I wanted to say come home and we'll go together, but that sentence would have implied we still were. Instead I said, congratulations. He nodded and I watched him buy 2 bananas and exact change his way into a life that did not include me. Mutuals posted pictures. Evan in a hard hat at a warehouse build-out. Evan on a hike with coworkers. Evan at some award thing holding a glass rectangle with a corporate logo. He looked relieved. My sister sent me a clip from a podcast where his CEO said something about process wins, and name-checked him. I closed the app because shame is loud in headphones. At Priya's wedding, months later he came alone, hugged my mother gently, and sat at a table with people who did not know our history. When our song played, a thing we hadn't discussed in 2 years, I had a dumb impulse to walk over and ask if he remembered. He laughed at a joke someone else made. He didn't look at me. That's how you know someone has moved on. Not the ring gone, not the new job, not even the new city. Just the absence of looking. My phone lit up at 2 a.m. After the wedding with a photo from an unknown LA number. Evan on a patio, smiling into the camera with a woman whose face was soft in the way of people who have nothing to prove. No caption, no gloat. The number never texted again. I saved the photo anyway like a child picking up a shell already broken and pretending it's whole. If you want the clean moral, it's this. Contempt is the rot that looks like patina. It shines in a room and people clap and later you find your kitchen full of termites. Saying I settled wasn't a joke. It was a thesis I had been defending for years with little asides and rolled eyes in stories where I was the lead and he was the prop. The night I said it out loud just made the rot visible. He had been settling, too. For my family's jokes, for my delay on kids because I wanted another promotion, for the midnight text from an ex that I called literary, for being introduced as the glue like he was paste and not a person. He settled for that until he didn't, and then he left with the same steady hands he used to return the folding chairs. I don't think I'll ever be able to use the word settle casually again. I used to think it meant giving up romance for reliability. Now I think it means the agreements you make with yourself in the dark that you could not defend in daylight. If you're wondering whether we could have saved it, maybe. If I'd apologized without asterisks. If I'd gone to therapy like it was cardio and not court. If I'd learned to say thank you instead of saint. If I'd said, I don't want a novelist, I want you. But time is a one-way conveyor belt. He stepped off at a different station. I'm still catching my breath on the platform. He won if we're measuring. He got the job, the city, the life where his kindness isn't a punchline. I got the lesson: you don't get to keep the person you humiliate. Even gently, even with a smile. Especially with a smile. My remarks. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Well, I settled. Is contempt dressed up as wit? In long-term relationships, patterns of contempt, stonewalling, criticism, and defensiveness are the classic failure signals. Contempt is the biggest predictor of collapse because it says, I'm above you. He didn't litigate her at a party. He set a boundary, proposed counseling, and when contempt stayed, he opted out and made clean, equitable splits. No courtroom drama needed. Just choices and consequences. Respect isn't flowery, it's daily. If you're into grounded stories where quiet self-respect wins, subscribe. More tomorrow.